myself. Caring, I wanna play alone. I got you in myself. Caring, I wanna play alone. I got you in myself. Caring, I wanna play alone. I got you in myself. Caring, I wanna play alone.
Hello, hello, everybody. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. I'm having lag issues for some reason. Um, Hold on one second. Okay, good. Sorry about that. I can like hear myself twice. It's so weird. Okay, good. Sorry about that. I can like hear myself twice. It's so weird. Okay, good. Sorry about that. I can like hear myself twice. It's so weird. Okay, good. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. So if I sound like I'm repeating myself, just let me know in the chat. Like I hear myself 4, 5, 6 times in a row, and I'm like, what the hell is this? But if it's good for you, I can handle it. I can just turn off my headset. Oh, I think it fixed itself. Perfect. I think we're good. Sweet. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Eve. We're going to go over the Michael Vaughan case. It's been a case that I have covered for quite some time. So who is Michael Vaughan? Michael Vaughan went missing on July 27th, 2021, near around at his home, anywhere from 6:40 to 7 p.m. allegedly. Police believe that he may have been abducted. They named 4 suspects: Stacy Wandra, Sarah Wandra, Adrian Lucene, and Brandon Shartliff. Now, that was a year and some change after his alleged abduction, and there has not been any public movement into charges or any updates from police. There have been a few interviews and press conferences along the way, but if you're new here, I have a whole playlist that you can go check out to get caught up and where I stand in the Michael Vaughan case. This live is more so for people, no matter if you've heard this case before or know it or not. I kind of want to get everyone's opinions and thoughts about, what do you think happened to Michael Vaughan? I want to make sure that I start doing this at the beginning, at least in my lives for Michael Vaughan. I kind of just been rattling off my speech that I know by heart about his case. But definitely check out NamUs, check out missingkids.org and look at his flyers, share them, and all of that good stuff, because it does matter. And it gives you kind of the basics of what I just told you guys. And except for this. This needs to be repeated. He was wearing a light blue Minecraft themed t shirt, black boxer briefs with lime green stitching, size 11 flip flop sandals. Now, do we know who saw him last? No, we do not. Have there been alleged neighbors that have seen him walking on his street that day? That's what's been said, not by police, but by the mother, Brandy Neil Vaughn. So we really don't know exactly who saw what. The neighbors have never actually come out and said, hey, I saw Michael. This is exactly what he was wearing. It was at this time. It has never been confirmed from the actual neighbor or neighbors that they saw him. Matter of fact, it's kind of been the opposite of, did anybody really see him? Right? It's really just hearsay. So let me check in with chat before we really get started. I really would like, I know that I don't get a lot of people in here anymore like I used to because I don't go live as much. I've been deep in the Karen Reed case. And let me tell you something about that case. Wow. Police corruption, bro. It's it's kind of out there and it's been there for a while. Boston, Massachusetts area. The Karen Reed case is in Dedham, but the crime happened in Canton, Massachusetts, and it involves Boston police officer Brian Albert and all his gang fam. And boy, oh boy, I have helped uncover a lot of the connections that I think people need to realize that corruption can exist. It does exist. And unfortunately, it gets out of hand, especially in Massachusetts, especially. That's where it started, New York. So it does happen. And if you let it go long enough, it'll just keep festering into a massive bubble. So that's where I've been. But so there's not going to be a lot of people in the chat per se, but over time, people do listen and they watch and they have questions and makes them think in a different way than what's been fed by the masses, where they don't accept the four suspects as being people who have taken Michael necessarily, or maybe they have knowledge, but they don't think that they did the actual crime because there's no arrest. There's no arrest. There hasn't been really any updates from, police or the prosecutor of Payette County, which I've heard some things about people not being too happy with him for other reasons outside of the Michael Vaughan case. Very frustrated with him on other homicides that have been unsolved. Crime has been popping off in Payette County, where Michael Vaughan lived in the city of Fruitland. And there's been a lot of drug busts, gang busts, arms dealing busts. I mean, you name it, like that section of Idaho that borders Ontario, Oregon, Treasure Valley, as they call it, has been, popping off, literally. Some of the largest gang busts in history for those two states are happening in that area. So there's problems. There's a lot of problems, and that means that innocent victims become targets or collateral damage to these issues. And Idaho definitely did not get a grasp on it soon enough. But they do have task force, that they're getting together, not just one task force. They're not only working together across the states, but they're having to create specific task force for specific things, maybe using the FBI to help with the drug bust, or, this gang has an arms deal going on and there's a gang war now because they're not making enough money because this other gang from Mexico came in and took their shit. Like, it's insane. It's popping. It sounds like a movie, but it's really happening. It really is. And it's scary. And I would not be happy to hear that this went on for so long, because it does affect innocent victims, potentially like Michael Vaughan or other children who um, may become victims of these kind of crimes. So I would love for everybody to give your opinions on what initially you thought or still think, maybe at the beginning, or if you're coming in for the first time, what are your initial thoughts going over some of the basics? Okay. All right. So definitely check out the missing person, posters, not just Michael's, but go through your town or go through your state or the states around you. See if there's something that might trigger something that you didn't think you would know. It's always good to go check. As a sleuth, that's just what I do. And there is something very interesting that I found that I did not realize that NamUs does. So what NamUs is a national missing and unidentified person system to not only help law enforcement across multiple states or jurisdictions get that information to them quicker, but if unfortunately a missing person, their remains are found, it can help solve that case. But not only do they do that, they actually help families and loved ones of missing persons solve cases sometimes. And that means giving them resources and also doing DNA testing for free. Isn't that something? I did not know that. I did not know that they offered free DNA testing for remains. No idea, which is amazing. So I'm going to check in the chat before we really jump in. Excuse me. It's a late one, guys. I'm a busy mom of two. Boy, oh boy, I am busy. And it's been crazy. I tell you what. Goose Scammy says, hello from Texas. Good to see you, Eve. I hope you're doing well. Likewise, Goose. Thank you. Canadian girl said, can hear you fine. Good. I'm good. Glad, because if you couldn't hear me this whole time, I'd probably cry and just give up entirely. Miss Rebug and Mountain Hippie 111. Good to see you, loves. Thank you. Miss Rebug says, I think the timeline is wrong per older sister statements. Now, yes. The older sister statements, we're going to probably go over that. If not today, one of these days, because it is so eye-opening, and what a brave outpouring of her truth. Like, I think a lot of people have been waiting for her to speak on her truth, not just, having someone beside her while she's telling her story a few years back, but actually just pouring it all out there and giving her side of her experience in this. Because I know it could not be easy. Of course, it's not easy. There's a lot of trauma that was before Michael's disappearance and during and after. So, kudos to her, man. She is a tough cookie. And she probably isn't too happy with some of the things I've said or done, but it doesn't matter. She is an amazing lady. All right. Ruby Rose, so happy you're doing this live. Thank you. Me too. Goose's Gamey, I feel confident it was foul play. I honestly just don't know past that. That's a good starting point. I think a lot of people would agree with you, especially before the named suspects were put out there. And there are people that still feel like there's foul play. More than I think people realize. And Ruby Rose says, I have a theory that Brandon was dealing to Tyler. Ooh, we're going there. Straight to Final Jeopardy, huh? Okay. All right. And a cover-up happened that involved several people. Brandon seemed seen walking on cans, possibly Tyler running all over, jumping barrier. I appreciate your honesty on that. Not a lot of people have the kahunas to say that that's how they feel. Ruby Rose, so I appreciate your honesty on that. Especially older sister never seeing Monkey and then getting upset. She told stepmom about Tyler scaring her because Monkey was hiding. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That has always stuck out to me. It's been very odd for me, and it will never not be odd until there is um, a trial that says otherwise, right? Miss Rubug, excuse me, in one of the news articles, it describes the walking as walking through the park area to the barrier. That's where Tyler went. Yes, yes. And we all know, me and a few others have released that recording of Tyler speaking to the recorder and Brandy about where he went when he placed the 911 call. There's a playlist if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's really important to go and look at those shorter clips because you'll get bogged down and overwhelmed if you go to the lives. Just go to the clips and that'll help. Mr. Eve, hey everyone. Thank you for being here and supporting my gorgeous wife. Thank you, Mr. Eve. Mr. Eve, you're the best. That's my love honk to you. All right, enough cheesiness. Let's get on with it. Ruby Rose, excuse my typo, Michael's name. I know, right? I get it. It's okay. This case following so close to Summer Wells going missing, and then they look so familiar, right? It was crazy similar, yet really different too. And I actually did a video on that. The similarities. There are differences, of course. But the similarities are kind of striking. You have a vehicle, this weird vehicle in Summer's case, and then two weird vehicles in Michael's case. Now, they said that in Michael's case, the Honda Pilot, they have investigated it. They know who it belongs to. They don't know who the driver is. I call bullshit on that. I just think that it was a Mormon couple that didn't have any idea if they drove that car or their other vehicle to the church. That's just my opinion because I've sleuthed the shit out of it. I actually think the opposite. I think the Dodge Avenger is the sus one, potentially, maybe, even though it's allegedly the teenager that lives literally right across the street from the Wandras. You heard me right, the Wandras. Yeah, I don't really care anymore. That's who it is. And, if they can keep quiet about it, if the neighborhood can not come out and say, yeah, that was me, then I have nothing for you. This is a missing child's case, and I'm going to call you out, I guess. I mean, it is what it is. The Dodge Avenger was from Hidden Meadows, the subdivision across the street from Michael's home. And it didn't even stop, y'all. Let me tell you something. That blue Dodge Avenger did not even stop at the stop sign, and it just tore ass to the right down Whitley. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's get into it, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. We'll just go to maps. Because there are going to be some new people come in from the Karen Reed trial watchers. I went on Tom CPU and Boston Mike, their members only live, and met new friendly faces. And they're going to be probably watching me here and there because they subscribe. So I just want them to have an idea. All right, so here, and if I swear to God, if I hear you're doxing the family, you can kiss my ass. Their address has been out there for so long, I swear. This is not new. Okay? Everybody does this. This is the reality of the situation. All right? Your address is public record, unless you're living on private land, okay? So stop it. Ruby Rose, yet Brandy went with that narrative long after police cleared it. That's true. So, again, here is Michael Vaughan's home, right here on Southwest 9th Street, 911 Southwest 9th Street. This street right here is South Arizona Avenue, and the only road that gets out of the neighborhood from the subdivision and from these houses, Crestview. So this subdivision is Crestview down here where Michael's house is, and then this is Hidden Meadows over here. this section right here. And then I can't remember what they call this section, but it's its own little thing. Cornwall Way is kind of its own thing. I think it might be Crestview as well. And maybe the Michael's area is Brannard's. I could be wrong. Let me see. Crestview. I'm wrong. So let me back it up. It's scary that I know where the freaking sign is to tell you. Crestview is right here. Hidden Meadows. And I think this is Brainerd's. They call it Brainerd's. Something like that. Because it's that's like the older original housing right there. And these are the newer ones, okay? So that Dodge Avenger, here is the Wanderer's house. Obviously, you could see the excavated backyard that they did on November 12th, 2022. That Dodge Avenger, we'll just say, is across the street on one of these houses. And it's called Whitetail. It says Mallard here, but I believe it's either Whitetail or Pintail, something like that. I believe Whitetail. All right, so we'll just say on this side of the street, there's a young feller who had an older brother, not too much older than him, a few years maybe. He definitely was in the high school band, and he got that car from his daddy, and that is the alleged driver of the Dodge Avenger. Okay. It is what it is. So everybody take that for what you want. I can't say that the police have said it, but I can tell you that's exactly who it is. I can tell you that. And I'll stand on it. The damn pizza weirdness. I cannot. But you know what? The pizza does play into a lot. It really does. It really does. Now, you'll remember, most of you in here will remember that Stacy Wonder got the nth degree for not remembering every quote unquote damn detail of that day. And that there were no children in that neighborhood. Like there's no possibility that Michael went to go find younger kids to play with. Well, that's not true. I have proven many times on my lives and in these videos that there was a 5-year-old grandson down the street that hung out, especially during the summertime, at one of the houses across the street. And Chris McDonough said that in the interview that he did with the family back in 2022. That is a fact that Chris McDonough said that. And Tyler didn't know that at the time, that there was a 5-year-old up the street. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. That is a crucial detail that everyone skipped over, that I have been trying to cram down people's throats for years. That is important. That is very important. So you're telling me that we're going to skip over the fact that there is a 5-year-old boy, and there's actually a few other kids around that age that live in this neighborhood, but we're not going to go there. Specifically, a few houses down, there's a 5-year-old boy. And nobody knew that at the time, but that's bullshit. That's what Tyler said. He didn't know that at the time. That's not true. Facebook says otherwise. And there's nothing wrong with that unless that person or the people associated with that house is sketchy. If you didn't want anybody knowing that 5-year-old's house, if there's a problem with it, then it becomes an issue. But I don't see why, that would be something to hide. I don't know. I mean, we have to also remember, not a lot of people know this, the Vaughan family knows this neighborhood well. Not only has specifically the Vaughan side lived in this, specifically Tyler and his dad have lived in this home, but on the mom side, they used to own a house right on Cornwall Way. So I don't know why they're acting like they don't know this neighborhood before they moved in with Grandpa, because they have specifically the dad, Michael Vaughan's dad, knew this area very well. As a matter of fact, lived on a part of Cornwall Way where this little section right here was very important and very easy to access from the backyard of that house and the friend's house that they knew. So this is not something that I feel like should not be talked about. Like, it is what it is. There's no reason to hide it if you're not suspicious, right? So this area right here is definitely known about. All right. And ironically, this has gotten much thinner in the last few years. And I think it's very crucial, this little area right here. I really do think it's absolutely crucial, not only because of the father going to search for Michael Vaughan back there just in case, but there was another person back there that police have not, they think they know who it is. I think that they think they know who the walking man is. But we definitely know that Michael Vaughan's father was back here and allegedly called 911 from here, but I don't believe that anymore. I never really did anyway. I think maybe he got his times fucked up, and it happens, right? But for him to place himself at this barrier that he jumped, it's, I mean, I can't get past that, never will. Before calling 911, because if you're walking, running, driving in the neighborhood, that's going to take a minute. If, let's just say you're looking for Michael and you're coming up on Crestview Park, hop out and you walk all this way, hop over the barrier and come down. That's going to take you quite a bit. You can't tell me that you can do that in 5-10 minutes unless you're runner, you're a track star kind of thing. Like, I don't think that that's the case. I just don't. So there must have been some time back there, maybe earlier than thought or way earlier than thought. And that's kind of always stuck with me. So I'm glad you brought that up, Ruby. Goose, I have been watching, Goose's Gamey, excuse me. I've been watching your channel for a long time. My name on there used to be just my name, Mahala. Oh, well, I remember you. Okay. But I decided to go to something else and I was Dumplings Gamey. Now this one. Got it. I remember. Welcome back. What did Tyler do while older sister was babysitting Buggy? Boy, I tell you, you're making me think of all the things that I have thought of. And that's a great question. So I'm going to play. I think we're just going to have to. We're going to have to play that. Older sister reading her beautiful paper that she wrote for, I believe, her college paper, her entry paper for whatever class, I'm not sure, or whatever she's going for. But anyway, it's great. But there's details in there that I wish that I could know what the little while was when she was asked to watch Buggy. That was never, ever, ever said. Not once. We were chasing our tails for that information, knowing we wouldn't get it, because that's so important. I think that the speculation would have died down quite tremendously, depending on the answer of how long that little while of watching Buggy, the Michael's youngest, or the youngest Michael's sister, the baby, that would have been crucial information. And I think it was held back purposefully. And I think that I get it. You don't want to be more scrutinized, right? If it's nefarious sounding or looking. But yeah. Older sister was asked to watch, per her own words, was asked to watch the baby for a little while. I don't know what a little while means or how long that means. But we did not know that. We always assumed, older sister was taking care of her business, getting ready to go out with her friend or go to her friend's house, boyfriend's house. And now we know. But we don't know how long. And that's so crucial because every second counts, right? And I understand as an investigator, as an investigative standpoint goes, not everybody needs to know all of those details because it is a active investigation. We get that. We get that. I think everybody understands that. However, those things, in my opinion, should not be suspicious or held back unless it is in fact suspicious. Right? Why would you need to? But I don't have a missing child. I could be talking out of my ass and probably am. So I don't want to be too harsh on that, but that is a genuine feeling I think that a lot of people have about it, right? Great point, Miss Rubug. Okay, Sarah, hold up. I got to rewind. You should. Ruby Rose, and if Michael was missing in a 10-minute span, and how and why would Tyler beeline over to Cornwall, not knock on the doors? Yeah. I don't know that I ever heard anybody say that Tyler knocked on anybody's doors to ask if they've seen. That was one of my thoughts too. You wouldn't think that he would have gone all over the neighborhood yet. You would want to knock on the doors and say, have you seen him? Have you seen him? Have you seen him? And that would have actually helped a lot of people's speculation too. I mean, you're freaking out. You're going to find your child. So not trying to scrutinize. However, if that would have been done, I think we would have gotten a lot clearer of an answer on which neighbor saw what, and not just from somebody that wasn't there that day, but actually someone who was involved in the initial disappearance, right? And calling 911, aka the father. Miss Rubug, why would you go to a place your child isn't known to go? I mean, I do understand if it was your last ditch effort, right? Like, okay. But even then, you're right. It kind of makes you feel like they're trying to take you on a wild goose chase. I get that too. Welcome in, Hellcat. Good to see you. You've never heard that before? We'll go over it. Okay, we'll go over that. And it is from kind of a frenemy of mine. We'll be friends one day, Samantha, I promise. Maybe not, probably never. But you know you like me, you know you watch me. And it is on her YouTube. So I kind of feel like, ooh, got to be careful with that. Got to be very careful because I don't want to get struck. You know, that would suck. But it is what it is, free, fair use. So we'll go over it. I'll risk it. She's damn near used my bought and paid for reports and didn't even give me credit, the little bitch. So it is what it is. Game on, right? Wait, she left with friends and came back. Right, she did. But she watched Little One before Tyler came back from whatever he was doing. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe we could listen to that and dig into that because that's and look, I feel bad because it's that what she did was not meant to be picked apart. It's her truth. It's her story. It's her recollection of events. And I don't want any hate at all coming to her or for her for that. Just keep it for yourself, right? Nobody should throw shade at her at all. You know what I mean? But some people are so vile out there. I didn't know this story changed. Well, the story was never really officially established. That's the problem, right? Ruby says, I assume Ben watched the baby, right? We all were like, I guess that's what happened because she went to take a nap and took a shower or one or the other. We didn't really know which one. We heard it from a very close source, a friend of the mother. Yeah. Crucial information from that one. We appreciate you if you're listening. We thank you so much for your input on that. Mountain Hippie, I can't get over the senior speech from older sister. She just said that she looked at her oldest brother and saw the guilt on his face. Like, what does that even mean? I don't take it nefarious at all. I take it that he feels bad for not playing with him, probably because Michael wanted to play with him and he was involved with whatever. But I do understand your side of that. There are people who go, you know, what happened? Did something happen? Because we don't get to hear a lot from um, the brother. We never, maybe 2 words or a little speech that he was allowed to, I guess, say because he's a minor. Nobody wants him to be, scrutinized, and I understand that as a mother, right? You don't want to do that. However, the girls, free game, right? Becky gets put on blast on lives all the time and videos all the time. Sister did lives with mom all the time. So, like, not all the time, but quite a few times. But brother, something about the brother is off limits because he's been through too much, I guess. And maybe he's a little bit more sensitive, has more sensitive needs. Okay. And I get it. And I also get why people feel that is weird. I do feel that. And I understand that. I'm not going to shame anybody for that because it's just the facts. That's how people feel. Start with the closest and work your way out, right? They all keep saying neighbor Jen walked him back to his mailbox. No, she was not home yet, right? She was at her job. But that was the night before, right? Michael Vaughan was at the neighbor's house the night before, and y'all are like hitting all of the spots of present day suspicion, right? Of wishing we had more clarification on that, right? That has definitely always been one. We know the neighbor to the left, if you're looking straight at the house of Michael Vaughan and the family, to the left, that neighbor stated on Facebook, and I believe on the video she did, I think she did say that he was at her house the night before. Definitely on Facebook, but I think she did on the interview she did like the first few days that he went missing. We can look at that too. Yeah. I think she did. But she also mentioned that the scent dogs is what she meant. The scent dogs never came to her house, even though he was there the night before. Boy, I was really taken aback by that when I finally realized what that meant. She was trying to preclude to her audience that the dogs never picked up on his scent, even though he was there the night before. I would not, in my opinion, think that far ahead to get ahead of that story that nobody was asking for. She just willingly posted that in her comments on the post that she posted about Michael going missing. That was so weird to me. You're going to go ahead and tell us that the scent dogs did not track him to your home, even though the mother always stood by the fact that he went and was walked around that mailbox to his home. And I don't even know if that's to this day, but definitely for the first 2 years or year. So, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, right? As long as the toxic chat keeps rolling over from purple poo to Sam I am, right? Ruby Rose, and that's odd since he was supposedly abducted at the corner of her street. But his scent was always going east down the road to Washington and Southwest State. Okay. The story was always he went down Southwest 9th Street, headed east, and his scent was lost here, somewhere around here. But we also heard that it was in the backyard, or it stopped in the front yard, or it stopped nowhere. It never went anywhere. We don't know, and we won't know until this trial happens, if or when this trial happens, from whomever is being charged. And I'm not sure who the hell it is at this point. But from what I'm understanding, this is the little area that he was abducted from by Brandon's Daisy and Sarah, who were going to get the tow from Kuna to tow the Mercedes back that he needed work on. And by the way, I do know that they had been hauling vehicles back and forth from either Brandon's mom's house or whomever's house these vehicles were at. They've been doing it for a long time. Brandon specifically had been doing that to repair his vehicles because I don't think the boy can drive, to be honest with you. I don't think he can drive. I think he burns up his motors, and I don't really know, but he always needs work on his vehicles. All right. Ruby Rose, why weren't dogs going nuts by that field where Stacy pulled over? True, right. I played a December 2021 radio show where local city government or people that work in city government who helped search for Michael that night never, ever got confirmation of where his scent went. And JD Huff never has confirmed where that scent was or went. There's been speculation, but we've never heard it. And her comment about handing Michael over the fence. Ooh, yeah, that one's tough. That one's a tough one. The Gatorade bottle. Yeah. Ruby Rose, PNW Crime said that recently a neighbor had walked him home. Right. Which one? Now, I know it's always been the corner house. I have never heard that man say that. I've seen where the neighbor's wife said that that's what happened, but I've never heard him say it himself. And the same side that has that horrid, wretched person doing PI work when she shouldn't. By the way, I don't know if she works over where she's supposed to be working. I don't know what happened there, but her picture was on there. Now it's gone. I don't know what happened, but anywho, I don't know. Apparently she said they lawyered up at one point, tried to blame the neighbors. I guess they just swing where the wind blows on these suspects. Just depends on the day, I guess, over there. Who knows? So, getting back on track here. I think everybody has their opinions on either, they want to stick to not questioning the narrative at all because police have named these 4 suspects and JD still believes that Michael was buried in that backyard and moved. And then there's people that absolutely don't know what to do with all of this or how to feel about it. And then you have people that are like, I don't care what you say. I'm sticking to where I was at the beginning. I'm suspicious of the people in the home. And so those are kind of like the 3 main, from what I am understanding, those are the 3 types of groups that are like, that exist out here. A majority of people are trying to play it safe by sticking with the police, right? And what they're saying, which of course that makes sense, right? Why would the police lie to us? They do, and they will, by the way. They will. Matter of fact, there is a CART team training material, like FBI, good stuff, that became unclassified so the public could see it. And it does say, do what you got to do to get close to the real suspects. If that means lie to the public, if that means posting false suspects on there to trick you, do it. This is a child. Get justice however you see fit within reason. But be unreasonable at the same time. Like, they do that. Law enforcement will make tactics happen as they see fit, even if it seems severe, such as posting people they know are not guilty. They will do that. They have done that. The FBI has done it. Don't think for a second they won't. And it depends on how desperate they are and how close they might be getting, where they will do things like that. Or they will put the suspects that really aren't directly involved to get to the real guys. That happens a lot too. Let me read chat. Isn't it convenient that the only spot an abduction could occur is right there without being seen on camera? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Michael so happened to be there at the same time. Why would he even go down there? Well, allegedly they were seen bird's eye view almost from the Agile home camera, and potentially a camera from the neighborhood in Hidden Meadows. And that was from Stacy Wander, so take that for the grain of salt. You know what I mean? But he said that the Agile Homes camera, or the camera that was close to the park, which could also be here, in the park right here, there was a camera. There was a lineup of cameras back here on the corner that captured the Honda Pilot and the Dodge Avenger. That also caught a little bit of their action. Okay, driving out of the neighborhood and coming back in. Right? And, if you're going to abduct a child at 6:30 or 6:40 to 7 p.m., which, how strange. Some people knew that timeline already. How strange indeed. Early on, like week 1. Interesting. Gang, I guess. But the thing that really gets me is, why would you come back into the neighborhood? If you planned on doing this, why did you come back into the neighborhood later on that night? Like, nothing to see here. That would be quite suspicious. And very hard to do with all of that police presence. You wouldn't want to be nowhere near the crime scene that you were involved in. You don't want to be near it. No, ma'am. So why would they just come back? Very interesting. Ruby Rose, everything has always felt like a giant web of lies. 100. I feel the story is deeper than we think. I think the police agree. I do. Was a grand jury ever selected? Well, yeah. Yep. For those who don't know, I don't want to say it, but I'll type it. If I can type. In Idaho, a no tree bill in the context of a grand jury proceeding means the grand jury has determined there is insufficient evidence to issue an indictment and formally charge an individuals with a felony. All right. So just take that for what you will on that question. And don't assume that the 4 suspects are the ones that were part of that grand jury indictment that failed. Okay? Okay. Julia XOXO, how the heck are you? How the heck are you? You've been busy. Busy little social butterfly, ma'am. Goose's Gammy, after watching everything play out in Delphi, I will never trust police narratives again. Amen, sister. Oh my God, you're seeing police corruption literally crumble before our eyes in these cases. And it really hurts in the Delphi case. That one is, Karen Reed in Delphi hurts. Makes me angry. Makes me want to be a police officer to fix, what's been going on. Like, it just makes me want to go and fix some shit, because this is ridiculous. Like, if y'all can't do it, I'll figure it out, maybe. Probably not. I'll probably get wrapped up in some bullshit and get framed for something. But no, it's really bad. And it can happen anywhere. I am actually, my grandmother who was murdered, she will never get justice because of police corruption. You could go look it up yourself one day. Genevieve will never get justice because the police protected the good old boy that killed her. I am living proof that police corruption exists because of her case never being solved. So if you want to sit there and say that I don't know what I'm talking about, you're wrong, right? Not you guys in the chat. Y'all are lovely. Just those lurkers and haters in the back. Ruby Rose, I know one thing. Police claiming dogs that verified my child was buried would not be enough for me to accept that. Not even a confession. You preach, Ruby. Preach that. I need to see it. I need to see. Look, I would have a one-on-one talk. I would go sneaking around like a PI and catch Stacey Wonder eating a hamburger at the A&W and say, hey, we're going to talk right now, you son of a bitch. We're going to figure this out. And I think a lot would actually be accomplished if that happened. But Brandy wants to talk with a lawyer that way. And I think that's very interesting. Remember, if anybody watched the live on Missing PNW, A&W is what I call her, Crimes Revisited, she said, why don't you, I don't have a lawyer, but I'll get one and we can sit down and talk. Are you plea dealing? Are you dealing a plea? What do you mean you're going to sit down and talk because you think you're going to get sued or you think you want to sue? Like, I did not know how to take that. That blew me away. That was the first thing that was asked. When Stacey Wonder, the first thing that that Brandy talked about was lawsuit stuff. It blew my fucking mind. I'm not going to even lie. And I stand on that feeling. What in the hell? Is that what you do? You talk about lawsuit? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. It just really blew my mind. No, they have not. They're working with law enforcement. Chris McDonough helped coach Brandy to say they are a very big part of our lives. If you want answers to that, go ask them yourself, which they're not going to answer you. And look, the police have said they are being cooperative, but you're only cooperative until you're not. And I think that it's pretty clear that no one is cleared until Michael comes home. No one is cleared until charges are brought. Or everybody. Right? Why did the dog hit after the digging started through? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, did they? I don't know. We don't know. Are they faulty? Could it have been a Native American from the night? Who knows what that was? The dog didn't look up and say, hey, I found Michael Vaughan's remains sent here. That didn't happen. The dog alerted. That's it. The only other explanation I could think that they know for a fact it's Michael is if they have other evidence of that scent being part of his clothing or whatever, comparison scent, or they already have him, which would make no sense because they're trying to look for him. I doubt that highly. You would only know, a dog could only hit on decomp as decomp, not somebody's specific decomp, unless they're specifically trained to know that this person's decomp matches on this area. I've never heard of it before. Never. That would be very interesting if that was real. I don't know. But that would be enough probable cause, in my opinion. Maybe not. Who knows? They could have planted scent there. If this is a D-ring cover-up and they are muddying the waters, true. I'm going to tell you what I think. Maybe it'll help people who don't know how to sit with my channel. Some people are like, I don't care what you think. I'm here for it. But some people, they don't like that I am not 100% this or that because it makes them feel better that they know where I'm sitting. I just want the truth. I only care about the truth and justice for Michael. Whatever that truth leads to justice, that's where I'm at. But here's what I feel. This is what I think. without like the details, because we don't know. And I don't know. I believe that something happened to Michael. I believe that something happened that would implicate multiple people, and they had to work together. Many people had to work together to get rid of Michael, because unfortunately he is the evidence of himself that would take them down. Now, if you can't read between the lines, a potential drug overdose, an accident, because of the massive amounts of drugs and the issues with drugs in that area, it just makes sense. 2 weeks after Michael went missing, the drug task force created a Facebook page and said, if you have any information on drug activity or anything at all for that matter, contact us, please. Begged people to contact them. And ever since then, the drug busts have been tremendous, groundbreaking, record breaking. It just makes sense to me. Even before that all happened, it just made sense. So I do believe that there is a conspiracy to cover up something that happened to Michael. And he was the evidence. That poor baby. That's just my opinion on it. Or a cover up to protect someone or a group from being complicit in negligence, whatever that means, because of the laws that you will go to prison even if you didn't mean to do something, or you gave someone something that someone else took and died from, or whatever. You go down for that. If it's an illegal substance or something illegal and they die from it, you go down if you supplied it, whatever that is. And I think that that would make sense as to why there are multiple suspects outside of the four, guys, outside of the four. The mother has said it herself. There are people in that community that are protecting Michael from getting justice. All right? I think it's very obvious. Due to the blue eyes and blonde hair, Michael was scoped out by some way higher up than Lucine. I think that it happened earlier that day. I think that there are sketchier people than the Wanderers could ever be or hope to be that live right across the street in that subdivision across the street, that section, that know exactly what happened. And or they're protecting those who know exactly what happened. I think they hopped a few fences and climbed a few posts and did a lot of shady shit and took poor Michael somewhere. That's what I think. I think it happened way earlier than 640. And I think that there are neighbors on that street or in that section of Michael's neighborhood that know exactly what happened, and they helped because they are connected to those other neighbors. And, you know, there were 2 people, maybe even 3 people that were indicted on kidnapping on the 2nd degree charges and trespassing early on. And they were dismissed, ironically, the day before, one of them at least, the day before the press conference in November of 2021. That is not a coincidence, in my opinion. For fuck's sake said, I guess my biggest question is, they say they believed he was buried there. With what evidence? Other than what Stacy said, right? I think that it was a big fat lie. Something may have been hit, but that does not mean it was Michael. I go back to that. Unless there is literally evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt that a jury would go, okay, I'm convinced. Other than that, you have nothing. They lied to him, maybe. Potentially. Like he lied to them. Why would they care to lie back? If what Stacy said was evidence, why didn't they arrest him? He admitted to knowing of a death and they didn't even arrest him on that. That's big. But they arrested Sarah Wandra. You know why? You want to know why? In my opinion, they arrested Sarah? Because that would please Stacy, because he was mad at her. He was angry at her because if you look at her TikToks, she did not cut him off when she got out in July. He was pissed. Oh boy, because she got out on release and he didn't. On his federal gun charge? He didn't. He had to stay. She got out in July. That pissed him off. And that's when she realized, because they had talked to both of them, the detective had talked to Stacy and Sarah back in May of 2022. They were both in Washington County after they were transferred from Payette. Because remember, she got arrested in April for Tanner Dogbone looking ass, and fuck that guy, by the way. Sorry, that's how I feel. And so they were interrogated at the same time. Remember, they both took the lie detector test on May 18th, 2022, when they went to Washington County, or Meridians, one of those. So I think a lot of shit was talked. I think that they had their eyes set on Stacy and Sarah because they were easy targets and because, the family already knew about these people. Don't let them lie to you, baby. Tyler Vaughan's sister knew exactly who he was. And matter of fact, was the one that said he looks suspicious because he shared Michael's photo, just like everybody else did. But because he shared Michael's photo from the babysitter who they were convinced had something to do with it, and she definitely did not, helped semi-clear her name. They had their eyes set. May 2022 was a very, very rich time. Bob comes out with a Facebook post saying, "We're not in hiding. We're just fine. We're better than ever." And that was very strange. While these poor saps are getting put in the jail for their own dumbass reasons. I mean, for their own selves. But I think that they had their eyes set on them. They were so easy, so easy. And I think that the people in this part of the subdivision knows, and Wood Duck, specifically Wood Duck, and Three Rivers, and Mallard, let's just say this square right here, took advantage of this little house right here because they're dumbasses. They're not your typical socially norm type of folk. They were easily manipulated. I think that making friends with people like this is the perfect scapegoat to set up somebody, especially Stacy Wander pissing everybody off left and right with his stupidity. I think it would be so easy to pick him and be like, "You're the one that I'm going to pin it on. That's for damn sure." Because Stacy sucks. Sometimes pisses people off, and he's scammy. And the way he does it sucks, and it's gross, but that would make it very easy, in my opinion, to take advantage of that. And especially if you work in like IT, for instance, like if you work in the city and you have access to get rid of shit or manipulate stuff, and you live right down the street from these people, you wouldn't mind tampering with a few things to make this easier, and I'll go away for the people you might be related to or know across the way. Why not? Right? I hope that the police, I hope that I'm right on my theory, because I think that what I have seen them look at and the people's names, literal names, connected to, they're right on schedule with what I'm thinking. We're vibing without even knowing each other. But I really hope that it's not because they're allowing the setup of these folks. I really hope not, but I don't know. I really don't know. We'll find out once those alleged indictments are coming for these 4 suspects and what they say and what comes of that, because then it's on boo-boo. Depends on which way it goes. But I'll still be here. Miss Rubug, I don't think he was ever with the Wandress. Who? Maybe I missed I'm sorry, I must have missed something. And then they had Brandon right where they wanted him. Why didn't they hit him with anything at the point? But yes, he's out. By the way, listen up. I probably put half of y'all to sleep, and that's okay. But listen up, all right?
Bag up, Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry.
Put it in reverse and listen. Remember this. Remember these words. A lot of people thought that Brandon Shirtliff got arrested for driving around Coeur d'Alene, being a crazy monster, right? Doing all these bad things. No, not true. Wrong, wrong, wrong. He turned himself in willingly. Yes, he did. He wanted to get it over with. He decided, you know what? I'm going to go and get this taken care of. And hell, might as well do Canyon County, the warrant that he has there, but then decided to wait on that because I think, in my opinion, I would understand this. He's a little scared on that one. That's too close to the Fayette County line, and they might grab him. And detectives did try to go speak to Brandon while he was in, is it Lemhi? I don't know if I said that right, but Lemhi County, wherever Coeur d'Alene is. They did try to speak with him, and he said, not without a lawyer present. Why do they want to talk to Brandon without a lawyer? You sketchy sons of bitches. Why do you want to talk to him without a lawyer? Like, do you not care about the Constitution? I thought Idahoans were like all about that shit and about your rights. I guess not. I understand this is about a then 5-year-old missing beautiful child. I understand that, but you don't do that. You just don't. You don't want to throw out the case that you're trying to build by stepping on someone's rights. By the way, the detectives didn't do proper protocol when they went to that cemetery. They faked being customers for a burial plot at Brandon's grandmother's cemetery land that she owns, and then started to question her. And then she realized she's 80 years old, by the way. She's 80. And they tricked her so that they could get the worst probable cause I've ever seen in my life. The worst. Or heard. We'll say that, heard. To go and search that cemetery. Because Brandon went to the cemetery, I'm sure, in October of 2021 because his poor grandfather died. And level-headed, you fucking idiot. You commented on his post when he was deceased and said you better tell your grandson where Michael is and he was dead. You piece of shit. Like, wow. Brosive. That really pisses me off, so I don't care about talking about that. But dude, bruh. That should be like lockup worthy, dude. So disrespectful. Miss Rebug, if his confession wasn't even solid ground for probable cause to arrest him, it ain't shit. That's true. It is. It would be easy for Sarah as well. I feel she really is wanting friends, and it would be easy with her. Did you hear in the JP interview, whatever her name is, PJ, Dolly Vision's girlfriend? Did you hear that recording of Sarah and her conversation from jail? There is a part in that video, in that call, where Sarah says that the detective was like a freaking novel writer, fiction, because she was just coming up with all this crazy stuff. And she was like, wow, I don't even know where to go with that. which makes me very, very nervous about the capabilities of that one. But anyway, she said that Juanita, Detective Keller, now Toll, I think, or it was Toll, now it's Keller again. She actually baited Sarah in because of a neighbor of hers. And I went, whoa, that makes sense. Blue Dodge Avenger looking ass, maybe. Maybe. So the detective baited her in, just like she did with that poor grandmother, Brandon's grandmother. Like, come on, guys. Yikes. So disgusting. The LA, 4 alleged suspects and no convictions 4 years later. I would also be interested into knowing what they needed money for in buying for this case. Millions. Oh, if you mean like the evidence, sorry, not millions for that. But the cost is high in Michael Vaughan's case. No doubt about it. But the $6,000 you might be referring, that's the Lexus. 100% the Lexus, 100%. They aren't going to grab Brandon except for outstanding warrants. If they could arrest him for Michael's case, they would have done it in Montana. They could have absolutely done it in Montana. They probably could have done it when he got out of jail in Coeur d'Alene. But they didn't, and they're not gonna. By the way, Brandon turned himself in himself. He did not get arrested. It was for a warrant from a previous charge that he went and took care of. Because I think he's tired of this. And y'all are going to fuck around and find out on the other side here when he takes care of whatever warrants he does have, which I think is the plan. And kudos. Do it. Please do. What are you going to do after that? When he doesn't have anything looming over his head and that lawyer finally decides to go, we gave you a chance, Fruitland. Now we're going to start speaking. Right? What are you going to do? I would be careful what you say about certain people. You might be wrong and you might fuck about and find around. Is it okay to ask everyone's opinion in this case in here? Yeah. We're not going to stifle people's opinions. I mean, just be respectful about it. Of course, if you're going to be ugly, let's not do that. But yes. All right. I've been looking at this damn map. I've been making y'all look at this map. I'm so sorry. I go on these rants. I wanted to take a break for just a second and let you guys know. You know me, I like to research cases that aren't headline news as well as, ones that are. And this is a very interesting tool. I used to talk about murderdata.org, where you could find out the percentage of unsolved crimes, of missing persons or murders in your area, and kind of get a feeling for a potential serial killer is on the loose. Like what are the warning signs of that tool? But this tool is doenetwork.org. And this is really sad to me. Okay. Michael Vaughan matters. Summer Wells matters. All of these missing children and persons matter. Finding Travis Decker, absolutely important, who is alleged to murder his 3 daughters. Woo-wee. Don't let me find him. I tell you that. Do not let me find him, Lord. Because trigger happy. That's all I can say. But this doenetwork.org has updates and a podcast to go over these updates. But look at this. If you get into a horrible position where your loved one is missing, I know that you want to do everything in your power. And sometimes you feel like you need to get body cam footage and release it out to the public when it's part of a case file, because situations are, time is limited, and I understand that. But there are people that were missing since 2005, 2010, 2011, 1988 that are just now getting added as missing. How heartbreaking is that? This poor fella went missing December 29th, 2005 from Lexington County, South Carolina. Okay. And he just got put in there because law enforcement fails a lot at doing this. This is a very common problem. And murderdata.org is actually trying to make them accountable, because what they do is if there is missing data from missing persons that compare to the statistics that they have, they will call them out and say, you need to fix this. You need to find your documents and send them like you're supposed to the state or the government. And good on them for that. So there you go. They're just now getting added. I mean, like, heartbreaking, right? She's been missing since 2014. Anna Bukidis from South Carolina, which I'm having a real panic attack about this being a serial killer. Because when they add these and they're in the same area over a span of time, I'm like, oh God. And it could be maybe it's giving Israel Keys, which is like number one scariest motherfucker in the world to me, serial killer wise. So like, that's my worst nightmare, right? So anyway, all of these people missing from South Carolina in this section of time, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to go live about, now that I have time, I'm going to go live about this data. I think that there was a serial killer around South Carolina in this time frame. I have read many tactics and FBI data banks and all of this stuff to find out how they come to conclusions, why they do what they do. And this is a sign. This is a very big sign. And I've gotten really good at intuitively checking on these things. And just so happens it was yesterday. My intuition was right. Something is happening. Something happened. So we're going to get into that because I'm probably going to help bust out a few things on this. This is a big deal. Look at how many were added on June 3rd, 2025. Look how many have been identified. Look at that. You can go and look and see who has been identified, which is amazing, right? So some of these cases are 40, 50 years old. Never give up. Never. An unidentified female. Date of discovery, 1990, but they didn't know who it was. They do now. Wow. Amazing. It just amazes me how things work sometimes. So isn't that something I would highly suggest you keep up with your area, at least, because that's how you get the vibe that something might be wrong, right? Good stuff. Okay. I think I've rambled once again on a live where I didn't go over any of the stuff that I wanted to, but I really want to. I got the little one in daycare, which is heartbreaking. My heart hurts. The first 2 weeks, it's like, oh my God. But I have gotten so much done. My God. It also, on the other flip side, it's like, whoa, mommy can get stuff done. So I will be able to go live a lot more. And I definitely plan on doing that. So since it's so late, I'm tired. I'm going to give it a go next time and go through that data, go through those videos, because I think I think we're going to be kind of starting over a little bit in this case for a hot second until it breaks wide open. And I don't think it's going to be that much longer. I think within this year. I just think that we kind of need to go back to the beginning. I do. I think it's going to help people out there too. Well, guys, thank you. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you on the next live. Bye, guys.
Thank you for being with me while doing live streams. It means a lot to me. You are appreciated. See you on next live. Take care and spend your energy wisely. See you on next live. Take care and spend your energy wisely.